Yep, you all set.
All right, we'll jump right in. Welcome to the May meeting of the ErieNet Local Development Corporation. Today is Tuesday, May 21st. The time is 2:05 p.m. Before we get started, I'll take roll. Jane Castle. Here. Jason Keating. Here. Tim Myers. Here. Mark Linnell. Here. Mike Breeden. Here. Elizabeth Freeze.
Here.
Don Mills.
Here.
Mark Pryor.
Here. Jeremy, please.
And Jeremy Toth is absent for the record. We do have a quorum.
I'm here too.
Oh, John's here.
Oh,
got it.
you forgot this.
Yeah, we got a latecomer. John, I got you. And then let the record show that we have Chief of Staff here in Swankamp. We have Max Zukoff on Zoom and Mark Meyerharper both from ECC. And we have Mike Ryder in the building. We've all had a chance to review the minutes from April. I'll take a motion to adopt the minutes.
Second.
Second by Jason Keating. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, unanimously. All right, number two, we're going to the report of the chair. And with that, I'd like to take a motion to enter executive session as we discuss the history of an employee. Motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions? Carries. All right.
Okay.
Okay, we are returned to regular session. With no formal committee reports this month. So if you want to go to executive director's report.
Okay. All right, so Matt and I are gonna kind of go back and forth on this report. So we have a few updates. I'll start. City of Buffalo. So we just, maybe last Friday, received back, we had prepared, our attorneys prepared basically the license agreement that we had all had a meeting about, discussed, agreed upon. The City of Buffalo, at this point, it's not signed, but has agreed to waive the license. We may have discussed that in the last meeting. So that was prepared by our attorneys. It was sent to the City of Buffalo for review. Last Friday, it was returned back to us with some changes, some asks, some different things that we hadn't discussed. So we are now meeting with nothing, I don't think, crazy. But we have an internal meeting next week to discuss, and then we're hoping to get a reply back, or this week, actually, right? No, next week. And then we're hoping by the end of next week, we'll get a reply back to them. And everyone knows the importance. It's holding up our permitting process at this point. So hopefully by the next meeting we should have an agreement that's ready to be signed and for review of the board, because you will have to review that. So that's kind of where we're at. We're moving forward just slowly. And then actually, why don't we talk about the Connect All grant? So I'll just start real quick. So last meeting, we had just received the conditional award. And there was, I don't remember, maybe 11 to 13 questions that they had asked of ErieNet to provide back to them. Along with that, there was a request we had requested originally for a meeting with Connect All to clarify some of the things that they were asking. In that meeting, there were some changes to what we feel were Connect All's original goals of the MIP grant. And so we had to adjust our application accordingly to continue on with the process. So there are some impacts. We are asking for additional money, and there are some impacts to our original application that Matt's going to discuss. So why don't you?
Sure. So our original interpretation of the grant was that it was eligible for us to expand the ErieNet backbone to reach deeper into each of the communities. And by doing so, we were able to connect to more of every municipality's subordinate buildings so that we could get all the municipal buildings connected. And I think we went from like 150, I'd have to look up the exact number, but in that original application, we went from 150 to 327 municipal addresses that ErieNet would connect to. And that also included equipment for that connection. And it also, we felt, met the goal of the state where that would strengthen ErieNet's ability to attract private partners to build last mile to residents and to commercial properties. And we were consistent with that message to Connect All for the better part of a year. And not only were we consistent with ErieNet, ECC was also working with other municipalities in the state with similar goals. And it was, a common understanding that this is how we were going to approach the grant.
And that middle mile networks were encouraged and included in their definition.
So we had asked Connect All to, we wanted to get clarity on their questions because some of it was vague. And not only did we ask for on behalf of ErieNet, we asked on behalf of some other customers. And it was consistent. Connect All was consistent. They will not directly fund community anchor facilities, meaning, libraries, hospitals, government buildings, etc. It's okay if you're backbone goes by them, right? But, yeah, it can't be a serviceable address for the grant. And what became clear to us is that the real purpose of the grant is to get to unserved and underserved with ISPs. And even though it's named a municipal infrastructure program and they encourage open access networks participation, it's really a last mile fiber to the home grant. So we learned this on Tuesday, and we had till Friday to reply to their written questions with our updated proposal.
And one thing I'll interject
Yeah.
is that they did allow us to use the definition that Erie County uses in terms of what we would consider underserved.
Yes.
So we didn't have to use the federal definition of un and underserved. We could use what we feel the county would use. And so for us, the county and ErieNet, we use the definition of anyone who doesn't have choice in their, connectivity needs or fiber in those areas. They have no fiber or choice.
Technically, we worded that they had, we would serve addresses that do not have the option for 100 megabit or better symmetrical service. So that basically, Spectrum doesn't meet that standard. And not only does it meet the minimum of 100 megabits, but it has to be easily scaled to a gig. Again, that's difficult for Spectrum infrastructure because they're a hybrid coaxial network. And so basically, any address that doesn't have a fiber optic ISP today is eligible under our criteria. And then we also said that we would find an ISP partner, and that ErieNet itself is a CPCN certified carrier public convenience, and that we would find an ISP partner or ISPs partners, and we increased our grant from 22 to 25 million. But that's also we're on the hook to service any address that's within 150 feet of our backbone. And that works out to be about 10,000 addresses. So that's what, if we move forward with the grant, we need to find that ISP partner. ErieNet will build the fiber to what we call fiber to the curb, but we need the ISP to do the 150-foot lateral into the homes. We need the ISP to deal with the router, deal with customer service, deal with billing. We don't want to make ErieNet into an ISP. We want to provide the infrastructure for.
Do we have to have the ISP or ISPs on board before we accept, before the issue the grant?
Well, they would prefer that, but we had 3 days, so that wasn't gonna happen.
But we also have to go through an RFP process, and they understand that. So we were able to submit some letters of
Interest.
from a few different ISPs who we have been talking with.
Right.
Some of them we have NDAs, so we can't really speak about it in public. But I think that New York State will have an understanding of that. We can't just arbitrarily take ISPs and say, these are the people who are going to do it. We have an obligation to go through the process. I think that's going to be enough. I really do. For them at this point.
Was this always Connect House approach, or is it a recent change given marketing from?
It seemed like a recent change.
partners?
It seems like a recent change.
So they've been.
It seemed like a
encouraged to go a
change from the
different way.
time we got the conditional letter until the time we met with
So
them.
something changed.
We believe that.
Something Verizon doesn't like.
Spectrum, if we were gonna be honest.
Spectrum,
You know,
for Verizon, I mean, Chip, you probably worked with Chip Lawrence back in the day. He was a government liaison. He's also obviously, he wasn't friendly to build out in Boston at all.
Yeah.
Fiber.
Right. Right.
So 5G is it, that is it.
Oh, yeah, Brian's the
I
one,
thought
but
that
Spectrum's the one that's
Still-
challenged it.
Hmm.
Understand.
But it can be a very positive thing for us because we've always talked about serving residential needs. This is going to accelerate that. That was the secondary goal. We were going to build the backbone first, attract the private partnerships and have ISPs then build out into the communities. This is going to accelerate it and the state's going to fund that to 225 million. It also adds another 112 miles of backbone into communities that don't have fiber optic infrastructure, the non-FiOS community.
It goes by their community income sites.
And those, that 112 does pass many, if not all, those township anchor sites. So that's good for the middle mile network in our open access municipal subscribers. But we're not going to get that CPE equipment for all those.
So my capital budget, you're gonna have to go through.
You'll find that in your costing. Did you have a
So-
question again?
I was gonna say, so we need to start the process of finding an ISP or ISPs.
We're on.
Where are you?
We have several that have a strong interest. They have their own boards to report to. They weren't willing to put anything more committed than just an interest in pursuing this.
And nor really could they, because we can't say we're partnering with this ISP without going through the phone process. So
Right.
we feel confident in our conversations that we will have an ISP partner, specifically in the locations that we're using. I think we can confidently say that.
Is preference one or multiple? Or have you not got there yet?
We've gone back and forth. And I think
Well, that's
multiple,
not-
but, again, because maybe they're not all interested in each in the same area.
I think we need to see what comes in before we make that decision.
Yeah.
Right. So the next step is, was 2, maybe 3 weeks ago, we submitted our revised grant. And then we got another letter last week, Friday. And so we're meeting with Connect All again on Thursday to address, because they had another letter with more clarifying questions.
But the good news is in the letter, it talks about next steps of moving forward. So, hopefully they'll be satisfied with what we bring back from them, and we can officially report to the board that we have another 25 million.
So we had conversations before about partnering with ISPs for nameless organizations that might be that sign on.
Mhm.
Is this the kind of thing though that we're opening, are there going to be requests for this beyond just those 10,000 households? Are we,
Well,
are
I
we
think we
taking
want to
steps
encourage that.
that could then lead to further steps where we're going to become a major? Like, I don't want to say ISP ourselves, but we're basically just kind of pass through.
A long-term goal from day one always was to attract as many ISPs as possible to our market.
Yeah.
So this actually synergizes perfectly.
But again, we want the ISP to build that last mile
Yeah.
connection. And then ErieNet would provide the backhaul transport.
I think on your question, John, we are working to provide a lit service options for what
Yes.
exactly you're talking about, which is slightly different, but somewhat the same. But
As we've used it, we use the word household. Does this also?
So there'd be different
businesses,
models, yeah, there'd be different models for something like the county or a library system or a hospital system
What about,
versus the last mile.
what about for-profit business?
Yeah, so it would be similar to the
So
business and resident.
the fiber to the home
Is that just
model
broad?
is really you're familiar with green light, but it's really a residential service and small business.
It's one- okay.
For enterprise customers, the networking requirements are different in the layer 3 routing capabilities, and it's not the same as a
Their level of expertise in their own company can provide that networking stuff, whereas a small business home, they don't have that expertise in order to provide the services looking for it to be added value. In there.
But we have some good interests. One ISP specializes in multi-tenant dwelling units, MDUs. Another specializes in residential fiber to the home builds. And they're already targeting their county anyway, so it's not a big step for them to expand, especially if we're bringing them the money. That always helps.
And I think a big change in the last few months is that we've had ISPs approaching us. So that's a difference as well. So the word's out there and they understand the benefits. It's a partner.
So is there any ability to expand the middle mile with this? I mean, it seems as
Yeah,
though
we're expanding by 112 miles.
The middle mile.
the middle mile, okay.
Yeah, we're going from 400 out to 520.
It's just not the 167 we were hoping for.
Yeah. We had at one point, we were in the original grant application, we were expanding by 100 miles, and we had to cut back 60 or 70 miles.
Yeah, I think the original was 167 that we submitted. And now we're at 112. So it does, it's just not the way we envisioned it for every municipality. And we're hoping that, you know, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but potentially they'll reanalyze some of that based off of what they have left after they've awarded. Who knows? So our meeting with Connect All will be on Thursday, May 23rd. So we should have some answers. And since it'll be a while back, once we have some sort of finalized next steps, we'll make sure we get that communication out to the board. So you don't have to wait till June. Any other questions on the Connect All?
Should we have our own lobbyist up with them, or have they?
So so Erie County has a lobbyist, not ErieNet.
Okay.
ErieNet cannot lobby. But we asked them to hold off until
Thank you for
we,
clarifying
yes,
that.
yep.
On the record.
Yeah. So we've asked Erie County to hold off on doing anything lobbying wise until we know the impact where we're at, where we stand. So then just a couple of updates for me. So Erie County has been doing a lot of legislative efforts on the ErieNet's behalf. And there are 2 bills that have been submitted for potential moving through to legislation for the real property tax issues that we're having. There's one in the Senate that's sponsored by Senator Ryan, and one in the Assembly that's sponsored by Senator Rivera, or Assemblyman Rivera. And last week, I believe, the county, Ben and the lobbyists they've hired met with the Senate to kind of answer those questions that they had and final.
Senate committee council.
Yeah.
To explain.
Yeah.
It went very well.
And then do you have something set up with the Assembly yet?
Yeah, I think it's Thursday. Pending final. So it's-
Yeah, perfect. So hopefully that moves through the committee and we'll be able to get that in this session would be great. So that's kind of that update. Also, I just want to give you an investment update. So as of today, our investments, which is, what are we at, 11 months? Almost. Yeah. Yeah, somewhere at the end of June, I think we invested. We have just over $1.3 million in our team. So that's amazing. And mainly it's because interest rates have remained high.
Yeah.
So we're continuously taking advantage of that. We have about $2 million that come due each month. And this is the second time we've had to remove money because our construction is adding up. But for the most part, we took $500,000 out of this $2 million and we reinvested $1.5 million. And that, I don't know, I think we did a 3-month and that yields us like $38,000. So it adds up. So as I said before, we know why millionaires do millions.
Yeah, even as
passive income.
Yes, exactly. And the interest rates even, I mean, the last one we did is 5.3%. So they're still, they really have, yeah, we've lucked out. And then I just wanted to let you know, so we've been working on this, trying to find our sales software, which might not be that exciting to this group, but while we were doing that, some interesting things came out of it. So a CRM is what it's called, and I don't know what it stands for, but it's sales. Thank you. It's sales software is what I call it. We've been looking at a few that, you know, recommended by others similar like STN and things. And Zoho One, I think it's called Zoho One, is one that we're very interested in because it also has a financial piece. Currently, we do all of our accounting software through something called AccuFund, which was recommended by Lumsden, and we don't love it. And when I say we, really Courtney and I think our accountants are fine with it, but it's pretty archaic in my opinion, and it doesn't give us the reporting that would be beneficial, especially when we start having customers come on. And so the Zoho One has a financial piece that is exactly what AccuFund is, but in a user-friendly way. And so right now we're kind of just exploring that. We're in a trial, and our accountants, Courtney and I, and our sales team is practicing in it. But the bigger piece, and the reason I'm even bringing it up here, is because if we move to that, it's already included in our CRM price. So we could get rid of AccuFund and save $7,500 a year and utilize a financial system that we like better. And I think that's the route we're probably going to go. So there's some cost savings. Another cost savings I wanted to bring up quickly was Courtney and I are going to be downsizing in this building. So originally our office, I don't know who's been to our office or not, we anticipated that we'd have maybe a salesperson with us on a more regular basis. So our space is a little bigger than we need. And a smaller office with a window has opened up, and it's perfect size for Courtney and I. And it saves us about $17,000 a year. Yeah, to do that.
Window too.
And a window with a lake view. So I couldn't believe it when she sent over the pricing. Yeah. So it's tighter, but I mean, Courtney and I really just, you know, it's just the two of us and a printer. And the salesperson still has access to the building, so they can sit in any space upstairs or in our space if we're not there. And so we really aren't losing much, but we're saving quite a bit. So we just wanted to bring that up. That'll be starting in September when our original lease is up. But we'll still have this, nothing changes except we're going to be closer together. And we'll have a window. It was very important to me. Yeah. I don't even know what the weather is half the time. No, it's bright, obviously, where we are now. All right. And then we just have one discussion on our report, and that's the CDD proposal.
Yeah. So some good news. We met with the University of Buffalo. We've been meeting with the University of Buffalo for over a year now. But we gave them their formal proposal, and they want all of it. We thought perhaps they were going to choose 2 or 3 different options. They want all 4 options. So I think I summarized it in the report here. Under 3, sales and marketing, on page 3 of 4. The one IRU, and this is the one they want right away. They can't get this one quick enough, is they want a connection from 350 Main. That's the Verizon building right across the street from the Rath building, so we call it Carrier Hotel. They want to go from 350 Main to another Carrier Hotel, which is called the Victory Technology Center in Lackawanna, which that same path, 350 Main to BTC, is also what Erie One BOCES awarded us for that connection. So the difference with UB though is they want a primary and a secondary connection. So if you recall, it was like a 5-year lease with Erie One BOCES. This will be a 20-year IRU, and you can see it's a pretty substantial one-time install fee to get it built off of the backbone, and then the one-time IRU rental, and then annual maintenance and support. The larger IRU is they want a diversified connection between their north and south campus. The connection that they have today, which was put in nearly 20 years ago, pretty much all that fiber is spoken for. So they want to not only reinforce that, but also have a diverse pathway from north to south campus. So that's combined into this next IRU. Then from the north campus all the way to the center of excellence, which is on Ellicott Street in Roswell Park, they want a fiber connection to the center of excellence. And then another connection from the south campus to the center of excellence, but on a different pathway.
Redundancy.
Right. It seems as if the university may have come into some money. They have a very large artificial intelligence data center project that's getting built. So I think they're anticipating some network needs as well. So that's all good. They're taking these numbers and submitting them to their budget committees to get into next year's budget. And then we will execute this IRU whenever that budget gets passed.
So probably like July of 25-ish. Theirs is, they run July 1 to.
Yeah, and I don't know, they may have operating funds that doesn't require a budget year to pass, but I mean, to get started, because we would want to start that build while we're building everything.
We can't do much of anything until the city signs it green, right?
Well, we'll have that.
We can't get
I'm
out-
talking
we can't
about
get
next
out of our
July.
building.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm talking about July of 25 is when their next budget. But it's really good news.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's outstanding.
And it's very likely that they will take up the offer for a board seat.
Yeah, they have not announced their new CIO yet.
I think they found.
I don't even know if they found one yet. So, no, I think he just started. No? Yeah, maybe so. Yeah. So anyway, once that IRU is finalized and they've decided that they want to move forward, the board will have to review that and approve. Today. Awesome, and then that's our report.
Great. As I mentioned before, there are no committee reports, no unfinished business, no new business, so we'll move right into the resolutions for today. As always, I'll read them, I'll take a first and a second, we'll discuss, and then we'll vote. So beginning with 2410, resolution of the ErieNet Local Development Corporation authorizing the engagement of H&H Telecom Construction, Inc. to provide professional engineering services to the corporation, and the negotiation and execution of an agreement with H&H to encompass the provision of such professional engineering services to the corporation in an amount not to exceed $325,000.
Which is an adjustment, just to what you have on your paper.
So we'll make a motion with the amended amount. I'll take a motion. Second. Discussion.
I have
So-
a question. Why are neither of these companies local? It just seems to me that there are people who can provide these services who do them locally, and I've looked up both of these companies. They're both from the far end of the state, which seems to me to increase costs more substantially than would be necessary.
So I think Matt's, well, I can tell you for sure that for the first resolution, they are the only contractor that responded. We advertise more locally than we do state or nationally. So we did get some feedback, which Matt can talk about, and maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we reached out to a number of qualified contractors that we wanted to have them take a look at this and bid on it. And we were surprised we didn't get more. And so we called them and said, why don't you give us a proposal? And the common answer was, we got too much on our plate. We can't take it on. So.
Which was the same answer we received back when we went out for construction services.
Right.
There's one bidder from Michigan, and the answer from everybody who didn't bid was, we don't have the time. And that's probably, you know, there's just more
Construction,
work than there is construction.
by this time of the year, they're all ramped up for construction. And so when I've seen this before, when it's high construction season, you get high proposals. Because if they're gonna take it on, they're gonna take it on at a high margin, or they're just too busy and they pass on. H&H, it's a young firm. They're headquartered out of New Jersey, but they have an office in the Hudson Valley. They do a lot of work for telecom companies, and they've worked on cell towers, where they've worked at heights. Haven't done a bridge, they haven't installed conduit on a bridge, they've installed conduit on cell towers. And done directional boring, underground work, but not bridge. So the bridge is a new aspect. We went through what safety equipment they were going to use on the bridge, and we reviewed that with the city of Buffalo. And they amended, they were going to use what they use routinely, it's like a harness setup. And we want something a little more substantial. It's an actual vehicle that has an arm that goes over to the outside of the bridge in a cage, and then workers are in that environment. And they agreed to that. Reference checked out really well. They're a little higher, you know, I thought they would come in more at 275,000, 250 to 275. They're closer to 3. We amended it from the proposal was 296,1250, like the resolution said. But there's reimbursable expenses for railroad flaggers and Niagara Street traffic control that they would get reimbursed. Every contractor, they don't control who the flaggers are for the railroads, so that's what we just said we reimburse that. So there's some extra money in there for that, those reimbursables. Did that answer your?
Thank you.
I would have liked to have seen more local, but we had several that we asked. We get a little better on the next resolution with some local response.
Any other questions?
Yeah, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Two carries. Our next resolution is 2024-11, resolution of the ErieNet Local Development Corporation authorizing the negotiation and execution of an agreement to engage Leidos Engineering to provide certain professional engineering services to the corporation in an amount not to exceed $152,000. Take a motion. Second. Discussion.
Matt, did you want to talk about the responses that we received, why we chose Leidos?
Yeah, we had three respondents. DDS, who's doing the permitting today for us, but we had extra polls that we had to work through, so we wanted to get new pricing. Leidos, who is also an ErieNet contractor on our Make Ready survey, and they're doing the Make Ready survey for NYSEG. Excuse me, GRID. But they have an engineering arm of the company that'll do permitting. And TKK was a new company. I wasn't familiar with them. And they were going to subcontract nearly all the work to another firm. They were holding the contract, but they were subbing it all to a subcontractor. It seemed a little strange to me, but Leidos came in with some strong numbers. You know, we had thought this particular permitting was going to cost us several $100,000. I think we were thinking it's neighborhood of $400,000. And I took a conservative approach. I said that every pole will need its own drawing. And in many permits, there'll be multiple poles on one drawing. But I took the high number, 190 times the 800 poles we think we have to submit. And that's a high number too, 800. Max Zukoff thinks it's more between 600 and 700. And just do the math, 800 times 190, you get to 152,000. So it'll probably come in less than that. So.
Any questions? All right, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed and abstentions? Motion carries. That concludes our resolutions for today. Just some things to note. Our next board meeting is June 18th. The board meeting is at 2:00 p.m. But we have an audit and finance committee preceding it at 1:00 p.m. Those members are, of course, Mark Cornell. We have Tim Myers. We have Jason Keating, Elizabeth Freeze, and John Spear. Okay, so those are the folks who will be expected to be in
And
attendance.
we'll meet here.
Okay, if nothing else, motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's cool.